listening to the Motor Mouths.
Hey, Motor Mouth! What's up, boys?
Firstly, I want to express the great pleasure I take in knowing these two men.
Motor Mouth!
Yeah, Rob, you called an automotive talk show.
Oh, did I really?
Yeah. Yes, you did.
You want to talk about car complaints.
Our trained staff of 2 will help.
And they know if you're doing a certain activity, whether it's motorcycling, you're under a car, you hump it.
What would a Thursday or Sunday be without you guys?
Oh, there must be something wrong with my car.
Quite frankly, there are better things to do with your time.
You know what scares me? Everybody that calls you know.
Were you on the air?
It's like, are these all cousins or something?
Okay, listen, don't you guys know I have the answers to everything?
Yeah, I want to know what the is wrong with my car.
I just want to call and say, very good show, very cool, those guys on there.
Motor Mouth!
I was told the importance of my bolts and where do they go.
Somehow that sounds pornographic.
I think there's smoke coming out of my headphones.
I'm enjoying the conversation listening to you guys.
I drive junk now. It's much better.
Are you the young man that used to fix the cars in the driveway in Brooklyn?
Somebody will call about God knows what, and you see the wheels turning around, go, oh, yeah, you do this, you do that, you go down to the deli, you make a sandwich, you come back, it's fixed.
So you guys have a great team. I have heard you guys before. You have a lot of fun. You seem to enjoy what you're doing.
There are answers, sometimes correct ones, and we may have them.
Motormouth Radio, 90.3 FM, WHPC.
Motor Mouth!
This is Motormouth Radio, your one-hour automotive talk show. And now, here are your Motor Mouths, Chris Switzer and Ray Guarino.
All righty, we don't insult your intelligence with catchy slogans or scratchy sound effects. We insult your intelligence with our slick and exotic automotive advice. We're Motormouth Radio, your one-hour automotive talk show. I'm Chris Switzer, and of course, here's a man that can talk all day about what he does to his bird. And he could do it today, right from behind the shop bench. You know him as Ray Guarino. How are you, my brother?
Good, Chris. Gobbling away, and I'll start the show with a quote from Johnny Carson, the late Johnny Carson.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas he said, Thanksgiving is an emotional holiday. People travel thousands of miles to be with people they only see once a year, and then discover a once a year is way too often.
That is true. And here's a man we have more than once a year, brings this show to the heights that we call 521% better. We call him Obi Don Cannoli. I call him Uncle Levunge.
And I call myself a chronic offender.
Yes, it's Joe D. from Standard Motor Products, the staple, the man in the clouds, and the guy that makes us more intelligent than we care to think we are. Right here on the program. How are you, my
I just
brother?
keep you guys honest, that's all. I just tell you, I'm watching.
You're watching.
Yeah.
That's right. Watching and listening. And you can watch, too, on vaughnlive.tv/motormouthradio. See what shirts they're wearing today.
Today, what?
I just saw myself.
You know, today may be a very historic event in the annals of Motormouth Radio.
And in our annals?
Yeah.
Why is that?
And Joe is here to share it with us. Today may be the very well may be the last Thanksgiving show we ever do.
Why is that?
He's got that look on his face, and it's he that's going to cause this.
Oh.
Well, because of changes in things in people's lives and jobs and things like that. This may be the last Thanksgiving show we ever do.
This may be the last Thanksgiving show, yes. And if the
now the light went off.
Right. If the power, I'm thinking, where's he going with this?
Yeah.
If the powers that be at my employment wish it will be the last show.
Right.
If they drag their feet, then it may not be. So it may be the last show.
It may be. So listen,
which means people get to eat because we won't be ruining their appetite.
Right, instead of indigesting. I found something in one of my favorite magazines. It wasn't Carcraft, it wasn't Hot Rod, it wasn't Motor, it wasn't any of them. It was the AARP magazine, of course, that I get a lot of great things out of. And I've been saving these for weeks. I've been carrying these around, so I can't wait to clear.
Scary. That is a good magazine. And I'm
it is.
When do I like this?
This was in the Cheers and Jeers section because it's written for people of our age.
Men of a certain age, yes.
Mm-hmm. So the cheers section was cheers to the people at Butterball who keep smiling while answering these questions. Questions like these, Joe. You'll appreciate this, having been on it. The tech line denizen.
Yes.
Is it okay to thaw my turkey in the bathtub while bathing my kids? And what do you say to that?
Make sure you don't throw the wrong one in the oven.
Just don't poke the drumsticks? Yeah. Can I use my oven's self-cleaning cycle to speed up the cooking process? Granted, that would That would really speed it up,
That would
right?
speed it up quite
600
well.
degrees. Right? How about if I cut my turkey with a chainsaw, will the oil affect the taste? That's that guy that you had from the farmer with the points for the Harley Davidson that rode a tractor about 2 years ago. That's that guy's...
Nothing like gear oil to enhance the flavor.
And the last one was, the family dog is inside the turkey and can't get out. What do I do? Like,
cook 'em.
Well, Fido.
Do you have any Korean neighbors?
Invite them over.
516-572-7440. It is Thanksgiving Day. If you are listening to us live, if you're listening to us on iHeartRadio or Performance Motorsports Network, it probably isn't. But this is the Thanksgiving show, the spectacular that we like to call here at Motormouth Radio. So it's the only show other than the news station that's on live is this one.
Yeah, that's true.
That is for sure. 516-572-7440. There's your phone number to get a hold of us, and maybe we can make your turkey day a little bit lighter, a little bit brighter, and, give you a reason to stay out of the kitchen. Give us a call.
Right. Yeah, this way we don't bother anybody who's in charge of making the food and making sure they don't use the chainsaw.
Hey, here's something that went out from Christian at Mock Modified. He asked people to, retweet it and send it around, so I guess it's fair game to mention it on the air. They're having a Thankful Thursday 15% off sale at Mock Modified, and the copy is great, Chris. You'll appreciate this. It says, Thankful Thursday sale. Mock Modified is bringing old-school family values back. Instead of spending your Thanksgiving pitching a tent outside of Best Buy, eating canned SpaghettiOs, we're encouraging everyone to spend time with the ones you love and your mother-in-law. and since you've taken time to subscribe to our list, they want you to go in and use promo code Family Values to get 15% off everything in the.
So it's the creative writing and not the call to action that that intrigued you with.
Absolutely.
This.
Absolutely.
That is excellent.
I got to hold this up on the camera.
Yeah, so I'm sure they're not there today.
There you go.
Oh, I'm sure.
Well, that's a nice bird they got there.
They better not be.
No.
Otherwise, there might be chain oil.
So,
yeah, right.
516-572-7440.
I love that.
Yeah.
See?
Engine parts on the platter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cylinders
Serving
and
it up.
cams.
Let's serve up some phone calls and say, love the jugs. Let's say hi, you're on with the Motor Mouths.
Hello, this is Mike Mooney.
Hey! What's up, Mike? How are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself? Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yes,
How have
Mike.
you been?
Chris and Ray, listen, I have a lot to tell you, but I don't know how much time you have for me.
It's an hour show. So
Turkey's not done till later. I keep talking. It's all right.
Get you on my ear here. Hold on. All right, are you there?
Yes.
Okay. The latest, as you know, the Griffith Motor Cars are the TVR company is coming back into business, and that's over in England. Which is the base car for the Griffith Motor Car. I don't know how many people in the audience are aware of these cars.
Right. Well, we are aware that you are the premier individual when it comes down to the Griffith, and it comes down to the TVR as well, I'm assuming. But we do know that you are the master of the Griffith Motor Car, the car that was conceived and built here on Long Island, correct?
Yeah, right. It was built initially in Syosset. Well, the first one, the prototype, was started in Hicksville on 106, 107 at Griffith Ford. It was White Griffith Ford at one time, and then Jack Griffith bought out his partner, and then it became Griffith Ford, and he was importing Cobras for Carroll Shelby, being held for the car transport that brought him across the continent. And Jack had an idea to make a fast little TVR because a friend of his was racing a little TVR Grand Tourer, which was powered by a little four-cylinder MG engine. And he asked his mechanic, Roger Tech, who was wrenching wrenching Jack's the Cobra, the 289 Cobra, and he asked Roger, "Can you put a Buick 215 into that car?" And Roger looked at Jack and says, "Jack, you own a Ford dealership. Ford has a beautiful little small block Ford that they just come out with recently. This is 1963. So in 62, when Ford came out with a 221 and then eventually a 260, 289, 302 Windsor blocks, Jack said, "Can you do it?" And Roger said, "Yep." And that was the total evaluation of the project.
I love it.
He's dragging this out.
They got a yellow TVR, which was with the engine, and it weighs about 1,800 pounds. It's a fiberglass body, steel tubular chassis.
Right.
And they messed around with, they put a 260 into it first, or a 260 that they had pulled out of a 1964, it was an early 64 Falcon Sprint. And they put it in there and they tested it a little bit. They banged on the chassis to make sure that the starter would fit, and that was it. They didn't change the anemic differential in the rear, which was an MG rear in an IRS independent rear suspension car.
Yeah, they only double the horsepower. Right, they double the horsepower and leave the components the same. Good idea.
Yeah, good idea. Well, when I became the test driver only because Mark Donahue ran out of gas on the Long Island Expressway, and I stopped to help him, and he heard of my experience. I was just previously, prior to that, I was working at Dayton T. Brown Test Laboratory, and I got qualified as a vehicle evaluation tester for the NTSB.
I know.
NHTSE.
I think we coined you as the first test dummy, correct?
Yes. They strapped me into a Chevy, point me at the Jersey barrier that was parked on the unused portion of the expressway, and they put me in with a 5-point harness, wire me up with accelerometers, and say, at this speed, you have to hit the Jersey barrier, and we'll take the readings off you.
Mike, you didn't read the fine print on the contract.
Mike, before we get into a long read, tell people how they can get that copy in print, because that's all in your book, The Griffith Years.
That's all in the book, yeah. Okay. They can go to all the W's, griffithmotorcars.com.
Excellent.
That's all one word. And you'll find the listing for the book there, or you can go to amazon.com. I'm on there. And it's a book that's going to be followed very soon with a coffee table version of the book, because the book, The Griffith Years, I wrote and started in 1991. I went all over the country videotaping interviews, published it in 2001, got it into print, and it's been selling well since then. It's the only history on the car, a very verifiable history, because I was there. I interviewed the people. Several of them have passed on. I interviewed them, put them on videotape, got the releases all signed, and as they say, the rest is history. Mm-hmm. But that book opened more doors and stories that came forth, and people who owned them. The registry is very sacred because we keep it confidential, and until we find all the holes in the wall and make sure that nobody wants to build an air car where there's a hole in the wall, we're keeping it pretty well close to the chest.
Mike, I'll tell you what other door that can open. If an astute listener hearing this calls in, or not, they have to call in, they can write motormouthradio at ncc.edu. I believe I have a copy of that book at home. I can send them.
Well, if you need any, I can also forward some to you, Ray, Chris, because it is the definitive history. The fun part is that just recently we did we spent 2 days videotaping a documentary on the history of the Griffith, and that should be out very shortly, and that will also be listed on griffithmotorcars.com.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. And the fun part is, just recently, well, let's go back to the history of the Cobra first. That's the inroad, because Cobras you could buy. I bought my first 289 Cobra in 1970 for $1,500. It was a 289 Cobra CSX 2072. Mm-hmm. And I had to sell it back to the guy. Right. Yeah, $1,500. The thing is now worth $750,000. Mm-hmm. And I had to sell it back to the guy because my wife, I don't know how, but she got pregnant, and I needed the money to build an extension on the house for the new guy. And that new guy is now the senior vice president of business operations at Roush Fenway Racing.
I was going to say, so it was money well spent.
It was. But anyway, the Cobras and GT40s and GT350s, 500s, anything with Shelby's name on it went through the roof price-wise, and they're pretty well unobtainium right now. And people went looking around for anything Ford-powered that was British car, and up popped the Sunbeam Tiger. I have 2 of them. And then up popped the Griffith and on the radar. Mm-hmm. And just 2 weeks ago, a guy out in Oregon, Washington area sold his 2 Griffiths. The first one was a Series 200, which was a 289 hypo-powered TBR, and he sold that for $50,000. And he said, "Hey, I got $50,000 for it. Let me try to sell my Series 400." Well, he called me up and he said, "Mike, what do you think it'll go for?" I said, "I'll tell you, the way the market is right now, expect 100." He went and sold it a week and a half later for $103,333.
Wow.
Good call.
Yeah.
Good call.
So that sort of sparked the old idea that I had going to reproduce the Griffith, because I do own the company. I own the trademark and the shape of the car and the logo and all that. And there's a guy up in Pennsylvania who's working with me right now. He is building the chassis jig the old-fashioned way. I had a visit about a month ago from a guy in England who built and helped to design the TBR/Griffith chassis in England. The guy's name is David Hives, and he worked with TBR Factory for several years, chief design engineer. And we visited this young man up in Pennsylvania and gave him the ideas of how they did it back then. Do it that way, and you'll be a success. Well, right now we are working together with him to start building the chassis, and then we're going to start doing the bodies.
Mike, is that process accomplished? Is that process accomplished with big hammers and beer?
Say that again?
Is that process accomplished through the aid of big hammers and beer?
Yeah.
All right, good. Warm beer, of course.
Right.
Warm beer.
And will there be a Mike? Will there be a Motormouth Radio special edition?
Well, we'll look forward to that.
Because I will drive that around. Yeah.
Well, we're going to be basing it primarily on the Series 400, which is a little easier to work with, and that was the 85.5-inch wheelbase, which was the original, and then we're going to stretch it out to the same wheelbase as the Cobras, which was 90. Which will make it a lot easier. The old saying was in the Series 200, if you nailed it coming out of the hole with the Griffith, either you'd have an accident or everything behind the transmission would break.
That sounds like this show.
Sounds like some of the full-size cars.
They had a hard time finding which way the front end was supposed to be going. They would switch anyway. But the car is on the market, and now that they're starting to go high, and if you remember back when the copycats started to build the Cobras you could get, as I told you, for anywhere from $1,500 on to $3,000 and maybe a little more. Well, as soon as they started making the copies, where did the price go? Skyward.
Yeah, sure.
And the people that own the Griffiths might be able to park theirs and save them for posterity and prosperity, and also have the copy that they can go out and thrash it on the track in the vintage racing circuit.
Right.
I spoke with SVRA competition people. That's the Sports Car Vintage Racing Association, and I brought up the prospect of building a copy of the Griffith. And he said, "Mike, if you can build it cosmetically correct with the same Ford small block powers translated to 289, 302, or versions of it there on forward, we'll put wheels in the track because Factory 5 needs competition. And Factory 5 are the ones that are building the Cobra copies."
Wow. Very cool. Mike, can we take a quick break? We'll come back. We'll talk more about this.
Sure, I'd love to. I'll hold on.
All right, hold on one sec. We got Mike Mooney on the phone. The head jumping bean of the Griffith Motor Car Company calls us up on Thanksgiving Day. Always a welcome call. Ray Guarino, I'm Chris Switzer, right here at Motormouth Radio and the Motormouth Radio Honor Group of the Hour. Drivers on the family shuttle, right, Joe?
Yep, that's it.
This is Joe.
Dad taxi. First year I'm off.
So you got to run out. You got to pick them up. You got to drag them back. You got to feed them and then drive them home. It's all part of the family shuttle. And if you're part of it, you're part of the Motormouth Radio Honor Group of the Hour. Keep it where you got it. Got a lot more coming your way.
This is Motormouth Radio, your 1-hour automotive talk show.
WHBC Garden City, New York, the voice of Nassau Community College.
Join WHPC's Daily News Wrap-Up, weekdays at 4:30 p.m., bringing you a complete report of the day's news home and abroad, as well as sports, weather, and many other informative features.
We're Long Island's FM alternative.
Have a question about your car or someone else's car? Then give the Motormouths a call, 516-572-7440.
All righty, hold on to that phone call because we're on the phone with Mike Mooney from the Griffith Motor Car Company and what we like to affectionately call the first crash test dummy.
I didn't have the little square circle with the red and black, white and black blocks on it.
Right.
There's a name for that.
Right, you're right. You didn't have your head shaved.
It was fun. It was a short run, but it was fun. And then they decided let's put a crash test dummy in there. He's talking too much, so
he's complaining.
Hey, Ray, I saw the video of your goat on the website.
Yes.
And that engine sounds strong. That's a Bill Dugan engine, isn't
yes, it is.
That sounded strong, and I like that burnout. I mean, that acceleration. What gears are you running?
373 posi.
Okay, I thought so, yeah. It sounded a little long in tooth when you had it in fourth.
Yeah.
But that comes out of the whole nice. It comes out of the whole nice. Bill is right now building, he's just about finished building a 331 for one of my Tigers.
Nice.
And I think the prospect of horsepower is up in the high fours somewhere.
Yeah, very good. Wow. Nice.
Yeah.
Bill is the guy, yeah. Between the research I did and the research he did, it all came together very well, and I was very happy.
He does a good job, let me tell you.
Absolutely. I was just explaining to Joe here how I met Bill through you, of course, because that was the...
Yep.
Anyway, getting back to the Griffith,
yes.
In the TVR car company, has changed hands several times over the years, over in England. They are one of the fastest European cars around, and then they went out of business because of poor management, and then it was bought by a guy from Russia who, 24-year-old multi-gazillionaire banker who didn't know what to do with his money. He put the company in the hole, and then it was bought by another Britisher, and his name is Les Edgar, and that car reportedly will be coming back into production for a 2017 model, but being released in 2016. And the funny part of it is that every one of the new production of the car has been sold already.
Wow! Holy moly! So
and it's going to have a British engine specifically built because previously they had they had a 6-cylinder what they call the Speed 6, and they had a warranty that you had to pay close to. It was an $8,000. What do you call it? You had to put out of your pocket for a warranty to rebuild the engine.
Nice.
So, I mean, it was a hand grenade.
Wow.
Powerful as all get out. Anyway, the Griffith motor car it's probably one of the least remembered of the American British hybrid muscle cars.
Mm-hmm.
The thing weighed 1,800 pounds. If you could come out of the hole fast without blowing the rear or running a half shaft into the ground, it was capable of 0 to 60 in about 3.9 seconds, and top end was, I know that I saw about 148 one time in one of the better setup Griffiths that I took out. My test track happened to be the Long Island Expressway between exit 48 and exit 50. I would come on at 48. Down the hill, where the hill is down to 110.
Right.
Do the cloverleaf at 110, the complete cloverleaf, all four corners, and then continue east on the 3-mile level track to see where I could get it up to speed, check the handling, and then up the hill towards Bagatelle Road, slow down on the uphill. That was a mile up, and then you'd make the U-turn and do it all over again. And there was one car that I took out. I wouldn't do over 40 miles an hour. It was that poorly set up. But they used levels. They used plumb levels and string to set up the suspension on
high tech all the way.
Really?
No laser beams here.
And I heard that if the guy lost the plumb bob, they just hang a beer bottle by the neck. That works.
Oh, it had to be empty too, and warm.
They would take care of that.
Then there was a funny part. They had 30 amp Ford generators on the engine. Now consider that they had electric fuel pumps. They had electric windshield wipers. They had electric air blower motors.
You're over already.
Yeah. It reminds me of what was that Eddie Albert show with Zsa Zsa Gabor?
Green Acres.
Yeah, and she had to figure out how many amps plugs she could use on the wall. Well, that's what this thing. And this one night, a rainy night, a guy came walking back to the factory, banging on the door. He had just taken delivery of his car, and he was running the windshield wipers and the fuel pump and the blower and everything else. And the headlights were on, and he wanted his money back. The damn thing went. The darn thing went, and battery went dead. Well, sure, you got to use it very carefully. You can't use. They can't use everything all at once.
You know, they should have told them driving at night in the rain. What are you, crazy?
They should have told them if if it's a cold night, just put the lights and the wipers on, and the ensuing heat from the wiring melting, it will keep you warm. You don't need the heater. That just will put you over the top.
Well, that's right.
Then have another beer.
Lord Lucas,
Prince of Darkness.
Again,
Yes. So now you're not going to use the existing TVR since they're all sold. You're going to be building this Griffith basically from scratch the way the old Griffith was built. So you got your T-handles and your string and your warm beer bottles and all that good stuff to build a completely different car, not off the TVR.
And right, the original Griffiths had as I said, the MG rears. Then the Series 400 went to a Salisbury or the Jaguar rear. But we are going to look into the Ford 8.8 IRS.
Oh, nice.
Parts are available, and they're serviceable, they're strong, and we're going to try to use that. But we have to use the same attach points on the chassis for the suspension because we want to be able to bring the chassis online for the people who own the old originals, and they can just take their old chassis out, which is known to be a rusted piece of metal, oxidized metal.
Chris has heard about that before.
British cars rusting? Oh, that never happened.
No, right. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, you know what happened? The original chassis were bare steel tubing. Ray, you wouldn't believe this. Chris, you wouldn't believe this. They used raw steel tubing, not covered, not painted, and put it inside the fiberglass tunnels, fiberglass over the raw steel. The accelerant or the curing agent in the fiberglass was an oxidant.
Oops.
Yes.
Somebody slept through chemistry class that day.
Let's just help this along.
It's like having on the pad of the Band-Aid a little dab of muriatic acid or something. Like,
There are a lot of Griffith owners that ended up with fiberglass chassis, if you know the drift.
I believe it, and a lot of cornflakes.
Yeah.
So, Mike, just out of curiosity, you're going to build this car. I'm assuming you're going to build it better than the original. But are you going to throw in some quirks in this car just to make it a true Griffith? Are you going to do something a little strange?
Okay.
You're going to put a dent in the oil pan or something like that?
On the original Griffith, in order to fit the engine in, they had to use a 16-pound sledgehammer to dent the chassis that came over from England so that the starter would fit.
I remember you saying that.
I think we are going to incorporate that dent.
Nice, very good.
Just to make it. I mean, we can get the smaller starters, the high torque starters.
Right.
But that dent has to go with it.
Yeah, because didn't you say that? I mean, when we spoke years ago about this. You said that they had to hit the oil pan just to get the engine into the cradle, and that's how sometimes you can identify an original Griffith by the dented oil pan, by the shot.
The oil pan, the chassis, and then up on the front when they got the cars, rolled them off the ships over in New York City. The engine, there were no engines or transmissions, so the bump steer caused the wheels to look at each other, the front wheels to look at each other, and they used a wrench to undo the tie rods so that they could straighten out the front end, and those beauty marks from the wrench were still in the tie rods, and that's another beauty mark that's in those cars.
Yeah. Talk about like detail. That's awesome. I love it.
Oh man. The stuff that was in there, the fiberglass. We're going to build a small cage around the rear, the fuel tank, because the tank that was, it's like a Pinto on steroids. The only thing protecting the fiberglass. The tank that was inside the rear of the car is fiberglass. That's it.
Oh boy. Yeah.
So we are going to improve the safety. I think we're going to a cell. I'm talking to the people up at ATL on making a cell, building a cell that's for the car that'll fit in.
That's nice.
But there's also the tail lights. We're going to incorporate the same size around what they call the peace symbol tail lights, but we're going to make them LEDs because they're available on the market and a lot less voltage drain on them. We're using a lot of the original ideas. We're going to improve the heat transfer from the engine compartment into the footbox.
Right.
Because that was why you didn't need the heater.
Because your feet would bake, I'm sure, yeah.
Oh, yeah. You didn't want to put any beer down there because if it was cold, it was going to be warm by the end of the trip.
And if it was warm, it was going to evaporate.
Yeah, we're going to have to do some of that stuff. But there's a lot of fun that we're putting into it. We're going to... there's another thing. One of the problems that we ran into was that at speeds, which were not... The car was designed to maybe do 100, 105 miles an hour with the four-banger. So when you do 140, 120, 130, 140 miles an hour in this car, of course under controlled circumstances, the roof is shaped like an airfoil.
Yeah, and the rear window pops out.
And what is created at the top of that airfoil? But lift. Well, we had a couple of instances where the roof would lift, creating a gap. The rear window would blow out. Right. And this one guy that I spoke with had put his hand up to hold onto the roof, and as he slowed down, he found out that his hand was caught between the windshield and the roof.
Oh,
now what does he do? He had to either stop and have somebody chop out the roof, the fiberglass of the roof, to get his hand out, or speed up to get the lift to separate the windshield from the roof.
Do 140 again. Yeah.
And he did it again. He pulled his hand, his bloody fingers.
Oh, God.
So we're going to put in a support inside the fiberglass roof to make sure that doesn't repeat itself. Right. The car was actually I tested just about every car that came off the assembly line because they were handmade, they were hand built, they were hand set up by plumb bobs and string and beer.
Right.
Perfect.
Michael, I have to say that anything you do, you attack with a ferociousness and you have fun doing it, no matter what it is. Your personal projects, the marine projects, whatever it is. And we credit you for that. We want to be like you when we grow up.
Well, growing up is optional. Growing old is mandatory.
Yeah.
And I still haven't taken the option for growing up.
Right.
So, Mike, would we be able to continue with some other time and
sure.
talk a lot more?
I would look forward to it, and I'm glad that I was able to speak to you on this Thanksgiving Day. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody, and eat a lot of turkey out there.
Thanks, Mike.
Good.
That was good.
Mike, thank you so much, and please get a hold of Ray, and we'll give you the whole entire hour. We'll talk so much more about the Griffith because it's a fascinating story, and just for the fact that you're continuing it and rebirthing this name and this concept and
resurrection.
Yeah,
yes.
It's just fantastic. So we want to hear more about it.
I appreciate the time you've given me here on the radio today.
Well, Mike,
Anytime,
thank you
Mike.
so much. Anytime. You're always a
Take
wealth
care,
of
Chris.
information.
Take care, Ray.
So long, Mike.
Be good,
Bye.
Mike. We'll talk soon.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Mike Mooney, I guess you could say the father of the Griffith, on the phone with us.
If not the midwife.
Yes.
More the midwife.
Always good to talk to Mike. That's Ray Guarino. Joe D is here with us on this Thanksgiving Day. And you can check us out on Performance Motorsports Network. You can also check us out on iHeartRadio. Very proud being with them. They're proud to be with us. Kind of.
I don't know.
I don't know about that.
You told me that.
Speaking of beer, we got the other case. We got the hand truck. We're going to send them right out after the show, right?
Oh, yeah.
We'll drop that off.
You're going to need a lot of beer to get to the end of this show. This is Motormouth Radio. We'll be coming right back right after these good words. You know that. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit about something I have done that I don't think I've ever done automotively, ever.
You fixed the problem.
No.
Am I going to have to go get wipes?
You may have to.
Maybe.
We'll be back after this.
Excuse me.
Motormouth Radio.
Tune in to Thunder Road for
Hard-stopping, band-dropping, hard-rocking, earth-shocking, booty-shaking, love-making, Viagra-taking, history-making, legendary.
Join me, Kim Tracy, for the music of Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band on Thunder Road, Thursdays at 11 p.m. and Sundays at 1 p.m. on 90.3 WHPC, and streaming at ncc.edu/WHPC.
Your car not running right? Let the Motor Mouths help you out at 516-572-7440.
All right, you're stuck in the kitchen, right? Oh, no, you're not stuck in the kitchen. They threw you out of the kitchen. They told you to get lost because you're in the way of all the cooking, so you decide to call us, right?
Get your hand out of the stuffing.
That's what we're hoping. 516-572-7440.
Stealing stuff out of the antipasto, yeah. Okay.
7440. Let's go to the phones. Let's hear some dial tone. All righty.
Try it again.
516-572-7440.
All right, Chris, so what'd you do?
So.
What am I going... Oh, here we go.
This has the propensity to be good.
Yes, all right.
So here's what I did. I went and bought a set of tires.
Okay, not so bad.
Bought a set of tires. The phone ringing?
Yeah.
Phone's ringing. Okay, let's go to the phones, to the fun. Why? Because this is live radio. And say, hi, you're on with the Motor Mouths.
Yes, hi. My name is Lee. I'm trying to get through to Mr. Joe D.
Yeah,
well,
you got through
you
there,
found
Mr.
him, Lee.
So formal.
Well, Joe,
Happy Thanksgiving. Usually it's, hey, moron, how you doing?
Well, okay, Noodlehead, how are you, my friend?
Noodlehead.
It's bad there,
Where are you from, Lee? What town you from?
Queens, Bayside, Queens.
All right, that's all I need to know.
Yeah, we don't have to.
It's the logistics.
I have the misfortune of
Careful
having
how you phrase
Mr.
this,
Joe
Mr.
D. as a mechanic for my 1957 Chevy Bel Air. It's a 4-door. Yes, I am one of the few who actually owns a 4-door.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a 1974 Plymouth Scamp. Everybody in the world will ask, why the hell do I have that? But Joe D knows that. And bottom line is, Joe's been wanting me to call for the longest time, but
yeah, because I want to prove that you do exist.
Unlike
There's a scamp owner.
I actually have, unlike him, I actually have a job. I am a peace officer in a courthouse, and I've not been able to arrest him yet, but I keep telling him I work, try to make some money so I could pay his stupid bills for fixing my car.
Before we go any further, Lee, I have to say, Joe, everything you've said about this man is true. Go on, Lee, continue.
Well, Joe and I have had this love-hate relationship for years. We just love to hate each other, okay? And
that's because every time you see me, it's usually because it's bad news for my big yellow girlfriend.
Well,
right.
Yeah, Joe is the type of guy on his Facebook page. He doesn't have his Chevelle or any other cars that he has. He has my car or his yellow girlfriend with him standing outside. Right. So bottom line is, one day, and Joe, your son is going to convince you of this, this car is going to be yours.
Yeah, I think so. It's mine. Well, let's put it this way. It's mine when it breaks, and where is it now, really?
Unfortunately, gentlemen, the car, and I'll give you a 2-second story. My wife and I were driving it. Everything was fine. Then all of a sudden we heard a whole bunch of metal clanging, smoke coming out. It was like all of a sudden...
You were trying to sing that Queen song again, weren't you?
I don't know what the hell.
Mamma Mia!
So this surpasses the cooling system issues.
Oh, yeah. Well, this was the beginning of the cooling system.
Oh, okay.
As a matter of fact, I'm going
to... Yeah, something... Make a long story short, I had put a new radiator in, or Joe had put a new radiator in last
Joe did. The guys at the shop did.
Joey, I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to make the radio audience think that you actually know what the hell you're doing. So I'm giving you credit. Okay, so of course it wasn't, because last year the radiator was put in by the guys at the shop, and they did it right, okay?
They did. This is like a roast. This is turned into the Joe D. Forget the turkey. Joe is on a spit. They got his hair tied back so it doesn't catch fire.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. Well, and here's the baster right here.
Yeah, I wonder who's squeezing the bulb.
Make a long story short, the fan blade itself totally popped out of the mounting. Now, mind you, again, I'm using terminology because I love old classic cars. I don't know a goddamn thing about how to fix them, so the wording I'm using I know is wrong.
Let me ask you, Leah, you're the guy that has a 60-year-old part and says, but why did it break?
Yeah.
It's like
Well,
brand
you know
new.
something?
It's kind of
Well,
like your
you
hip,
know
Lee.
something? I'm also using almost a 60-year-old automobile mechanic, okay?
Well,
and
true.
I'm trying to figure out why his brain keeps breaking.
That's why he knows why those parts need to be changed.
But he's never changed his own parts over the years.
Yeah, but you see, unlike your car, Joe's brain has gotten better with age.
Yeah,
You're just trying to be nice to him, fella.
See, Lee doesn't realize he walked into the Lion's Den. He's not in the Joe Haters Club. He's in the Joe Fan Club
He
over
just
here.
called you fella.
Right. All right, buddy. To take a word from my co-host's repertoire when he deals with peace officers.
Actually, we
all-
found. Yeah, we found. Go ahead, Lee. Finish up.
All I could say, and this is with all respect intended, Joe, I hate you. You don't know what the hell you're doing, but you're the best buddy anybody can ever have. And I am very happy to know you.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, even
Did
though
you
he
just
might
die?
Yeah,
even-
just like I'm waiting for him to start.
Wow, we went from a roast to a wake.
Okay, look, even though he might sound like a horse's ass, and we all know that he does, he's really a decent guy. But
No.
please,
Something
just
about
don't
Danny
tell
with
him that I
Frank
said
Phrase.
that.
Don't tell him.
Don't tell him I said that.
No, we won't.
I'm wearing headphones. I'm right here.
Don't worry, Lee. It's Thanksgiving. No one's listening. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, really.
Well,
it's just the three of us.
Well, listen, I just had a call to speak to the turkey of the day, so that's why I had to call Joey.
Oh, well,
Thank you, Lee.
very much.
Good luck with your cars, Lee. Good luck with in the
By the
present
way,
and the
look,
future.
look over to the west a little bit. You know that mushroom cloud you're going to see in about maybe 45 minutes? You might see a little bit of yellow tinged with it.
I have a idea that the cars are going to be in deep dog doo-doo from now on. But
you know what
Joe,
they say about waiters.
Joe,
You know,
again,
yeah.
But Joe, just keep in mind, your son wants the car. Your son's going to talk you into the car. So my rear end is safe because you won't do anything to me and your yellow baby girl. Okay?
I think I think I would definitely stay quite far away from your rear end. It seems to be in good shape. We actually have more transmission and cooling system issues at this point.
Yeah.
And I have people that are experienced in that, so we'll take care of that. Yeah.
Well, you know something.
I was going to talk to. I was going to talk today about what we found with the with my girlfriend there, but perhaps we will as we go on, move into a more technical portion of the show. But thank you for calling.
It's not looking that way.
Excuse me. Are you trying to say that I am not a high tech type of guy? I have a 74. I have a 57, which means I'm out of my mind. Yeah.
Let's just say, Lee, you've taken this digital show and driven it to the analog depths of the world.
Yeah.
Which is something I'm very proud of doing.
I am too.
Thank you.
Yeah, very good.
You can't. I don't think there's any more practical car collector, Lee. I think that's a 4-door 57 Chevy and a 74 Plymouth Scamp. I can't think about any more practical.
He's a rebel.
He's a rebel.
I'm a rebel. Hey, look, the first car I ever learned to drive on, okay, driver ed, was a 72 Dodge Dart. And I always wanted that car. But at that time, I couldn't afford it. So I waited 40-some-odd years. I went down south, found this Scamp, okay, which was, as Joe can attest to, it's virtually mint.
Yeah, it's very clean.
And I mean,
nicely restored. Very nice job.
Very, very. And the key thing is,
did I yell at you much when you bought it? I didn't yell at you much. I was like, "Why did you buy this piece of crap for?" No, I actually said, "Nice car."
Lee,
if it got the approval of my wife and my 28-year-old son, who said, "Dad, you've shown us enough pieces of garbage," and they weren't talking about me, but they said enough pieces of crap Dodge cars. But they both said, if you don't buy this one, you're not going to any more Mecum or any other auctions, right, because this was the mint car. And the bottom line is, it passed this test. I put the fan on, I put the AC on, and rat turd didn't come through the vents.
Because I have literally had that happen.
You know, Lee, I took driver's ed in, I think, early 70s. I don't know if it was a Scamp or if it was a Valiant or a Dart. I don't know. It was square car, four-door.
car of the day, yes.
And it was brand new. It had AM, FM, and AC. It was real nice. But my goal was a lot different. As I rode home from driver's ed on my bicycle, I started building a hot rod because I didn't want to be anywhere near that car again.
That's the question, Lee. I want to ask you, before we let you go, I just want to know, why did you possibly long for a 72 Dodge Dart after driver's ed? I got to know this.
Al Bundy, the next generation.
Yeah.
Well, look, why would also I be married for 35 years and work in a family courthouse where people are only married for 2 days?
True.
Okay? Yeah, I mean, so,
It's just easy to remember where to show up.
I actually do a couple of strange things in life, but for some reason, maybe because I was trying to relive my past or whatever, I always loved that car.
Well, you are definitely one in a million, Lee. That's for sure. You are.
Oh, yes, I am, and thank God there aren't anybody else like me.
That is for sure. Well, Lee, thank you so much for the call. We appreciate it. We appreciate roasting and eulogizing Joe D in the same conversation. That's pretty good.
Yeah, really. They
Well,
just set me on fire. Is he dead yet?
Guys, do me this. Just remind Joe, because he said, Lee, if you call in to make himself look good, he will then pay for all the repairs going on with the 57. Okay, so Joe,
So I'm safe.
Be sure you send me the check, okay?
Not a problem.
Lee,
very good.
Thank you so much for the call, Lee.
Guys, a happy and a healthy.
You too as well.
Thanks for the call, man.
Be safe.
Thanks, Lee.
Take care, kiddo. Sure thing.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
That is the most practical automotive enthusiast I think we have ever spoken to, and a man who holds Joe D, Obi Don Canoli in high regard. That was pretty cool. I think we got a couple of promos out of that.
Yeah, I think we do. If you like backhand compliments.
Yeah,
how's the knuckles feel on your forehead?
He's not Italian, but the backhand was excellent. Lee, am I say, if you're still listening, that was excellent.
That's Joe D. Seems to be the man of the hour. Didn't get a dinner. With us, who also makes this show 521% better, and now you know why. Ray Guarino behind the shop bench. I'm Chris Switzer, of course. The Motormouth Radio on the Group of the Hour to celebrate this fine occasion. One of the many traditions is if you are involved in the family shuttle, and if you are involved hauling them out and feeding them and hauling them back, you're part of the Motormouth Radio on the Group of the Hour. So keep it where you got it. Got a lot more of this mess coming your way. Plus, the only thing I've done in my automotive career. Keep it where you got it.
We'll be back with answers to your car questions. Give us a call at 516-572-7440. Oh, I should have said the Motormouth thing.
WHPC 90.3, the radio voice of Nassau Community College, is looking for individuals, businesses, charities, or organizations in our local global community that would like to donate to support our radio station. Whether you listen locally or online, here's how it works. Go to our webpage at ncc.edu/WHPC and click Donate Now. Or if you prefer, you can send a check to WHPC Radio, 1 Education Drive, Garden City, New York, 11530. Make your check payable to the NCC Foundation. In the memo of your check, write WHPC, Donate Now. Any contribution will help defray our operating costs, and it's tax deductible. This message was brought to you by the radio voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. Streaming online at ncc.edu/WHPC.
Let the Motormouth help you with all of your car questions at 516-572-7440.
We're back. 516-572-7440 is the phone number. Joe D, Ray Guarino, I'm Chris Switzer, hanging out and running the board and making these guys look better than they really are. Let's go to the phone.
Good thing it's radio.
Let's go to the fun. Hi, you're on with the Motormouths.
Hi, good morning.
Who's this?
Good morning. This is Joe DeSono. How are you?
Joe. Magnet Joe?
Yeah, different Joe.
Oh, different Joe.
Not that Joe,
Magnet
no.
Joe? You sound like Magnet Joe.
Where are you from, Joe?
Yeah, where are you from?
I have a silly question. I got a 207 Acura with a VTEC engine that requires only high-test gas.
Right.
What happens if I put regular?
We just had this call on Sunday.
Yeah.
We did.
You mean chronically, or like, in other words, it's like, or you want to just, you need to do it every once in a while?
I could easily do it every once in a while. It shouldn't hurt the car.
Basically, as a matter of fact, that's one of the things we were going to chat about today. Is for the most part, when the car engineers design the system, they know that they're going to be using premium. That they've designed it for premium. They change the ignition timing, the valve timing, the compression ratio, and they kind of depend on it. They put a knock sensor in. As a matter of fact, there are some people who claim that, it's got a knock sensor. If it pings, it'll just retard the timing.
Gee, who would do that?
Yeah.
Me.
Right.
Actually, sometimes you'll get multiple knock sensors, upper and lower.
Oh, they're all over the place, depending on the vehicle. Yeah, you could do it in a pinch. I would not recommend it on a regular basis for two reasons. Number one, there's the ping. All right, every time it pings, and before the knock sensor catches it, that's a little bit of damage. All right, number one. Number two, gasoline, especially premiums, are what they call top tier. Top tier gasoline uses more detergent and different additives, which, especially on certain vehicles, could present itself as carbon buildup. So if you're using the cheaper grade of fuel, you're not getting the benefit of the top tier. And again, the engineers know about this when they design when they put the thing together, so they're kind of hoping you're going to listen. It's always a better idea to run the premium anyway. If for nothing else, you're going to feel the performance somewhat. Depending on what kind of driver you are, you will definitely feel a little bit of a lag.
Using the regular.
Using the lower grade fuel, yes.
But it's as long as you don't hear the ping, I'm assuming there's not gonna be any damage.
If I don't hear the ping, I won't have any damage. Okay, but that'll be too late when I hear the ping.
Actually, what happens is the ping happens so fast that even if there's a couple of them, you already did a teeny weeny amount of damage. It's not like you're gonna have to pull over and call the tow truck. But if you do it on a chronic basis, eventually that's going to hurt something. As a matter of fact,
if I did it once in a while, it shouldn't hurt anything.
No. If you want to do it once in a while, like all of a sudden, like, hey, this guy wants $6 a gallon for premium, yeah, that's fine, especially if you want to get home.
Joe, why do you want to do it?
Well, the big difference is that, it's 60, 70 cents a gallon difference. You fill up the tank, you put 10 gallons of gas, it's $6 or $7.
Sure.
You do that a couple of times a week, you're talking $15 at a time.
Mm-hmm.
If it's necessary, I don't mind doing it. But if it's not necessary, I thought that I'd ask the question.
Well, then, Joe,
I would definitely stick with it.
The other thing to consider is the way I made the choice for when I bought my last car. I was dead set on a Mini Cooper, and then the last thing I found out about the car is even that little four-cylinder needs premium fuel. And I said, hell no. I'm buying a car for fuel economy, not when I have to pay more. I was when gas was over $4 a gallon, so I purchased a car that burns regular gas. You're driving a Lexus.
Acura.
Sorry.
Acura. And it's only a four-cylinder.
Don't matter.
It has the,
it's the parameters the engineers built into that engine that you have to live with, and that's where the gas...
Pressure ratio, ignition timing, valve timing.
Right.
I say...
And there's no way of changing the timing on those cars, right? Like
no, that's all programmed into the computer. You're pretty much locked in, and if you know that much code, then... Yay!
Joe, here's what I think you should do. I think you should throw in a tank of premium, throw in a tank of regular, see what it does. Because you're not going to destroy it within a tank of regular.
Yeah, that's true.
So throw in a tank of regular, see what it does. If that doesn't work, then throw in a tank of the silver. The mid-grade.
The mid-grade, yeah.
Yeah, throw in a tank of that, see what it does. But you're not going to like the staff here, like the what would you say, the knowledge base here says you're not going to ruin it.
Cane.
You're not going to ruin it.
One of my strep.
Right.
But I think that it's right about now. I think it's worthy of a little bit of an experiment.
A little bit of experimentation.
Joe, like I reported on the last show with a different caller, I have a motorcycle, a BMW motorcycle that calls for high test, and I found that in this weather, the cooler weather, I can run the lower grade gas and not get any ill effects. But in the hotter weather, I cannot. I have to use a hotter gas. So I think now in the cooler weather, you'll probably be in the same boat.
Yeah.
Just be aware of the differences.
Turbo either?
Oh, it's got a turbo.
Well, that's the exhaust. Yeah, that's the exhaust side.
Yeah,
but the exhaust side feeds the intake side.
Yeah, but wait a second.
The turbo.
Oh, wait a second, because now you just upped your compression ratio up to wing-wang. I would be extremely, extremely circumspect about that. Because, the thing about the turbo is that I'm not quite sure how much boost that thing puts in there, but you definitely have, by virtue of the forced air induction, you have extremely high compression, which is why they have
the high fuel,
high test fuel.
Yeah. That kind of throws a little.
I would only, if I was like in the middle of, resume speed Kansas someplace, and it was a choice between putting in premium and not getting home, then I would definitely go with the regular gas. But I would chronically, because
but light-footed.
Yeah, definitely.
Gordon, be Gordon.
Yeah.
That's it.
Joe, where are you from? What town are you from, Joe?
I'm from Flower Park.
Okay, good. Just wanted to need that for our records. All right, well,
Sure.
let us know how you make out.
Yeah, definitely let us know. Worst comes to worst, start with the mid-grade. Don't go with the regular. Go with the mid-grade fuel and see what it does. If it starts pinging there, then you know not to go to the regular.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of whatever they call for to use it.
I appreciate your guys' knowledge. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, sir.
Have a very happy Thanksgiving, both of you.
Thanks,
Enjoy.
Joe. You too.
I enjoy your show. I was surprised to find it on today. I usually listen to you guys on Sunday.
Our wives kicked us out.
Yeah. Right. We got kicked out of the kitchen.
Right. Thanks a lot, Joe.
Take care. Have a good day.
We'll talk
Bye-bye.
soon. Bye-bye. 516-572-7440.
On that note, did I emailed something to Ray that I was this week? I just happened to be working on an 01 Pathfinder for an unrelated condition, and I happened to be flipping through the theory of operation in all data. I'm a big fan of always starting by looking in an information system before I touch anything.
Right.
And I just happened to scroll past the knock sensor system.
Yeah.
And allow me to read.
Please.
The knock sensor retard system is designed only for emergencies. For those of you without Vaughn TV, he just got the malocchio. All right.
Thanks.
The basic ignition timing is programmed within the anti-knocking zone for whatever the fuel is.
Right.
It's recommended fuel is used only under dry conditions, which is going to have something to do with the with the detonation. You know how damp weather actually cuts down on detonation. Remember water injection?
Mm-hmm.
The retard system does not operate under normal driving conditions. If engine knocking occurs, the knock sensor monitors the condition. The signal is transmitted to the ECM. The ECM retards the ignition timing to eliminate the knocking, and a small light that says "Stop that" comes on the dashboard.
That's
that
funny.
last part I threw.
That's not what happens with my
2001 Pathfinder. I'm not making this up. Tojo wrote this, okay?
Gee, I was going to do that piece. I'm glad you're here because you get to do it.
Yeah.
But it happens in the morning. It
You
gets
got
a
those
little perp as I pull away. If I get off the gas, it stops. Which
right.
I find it.
And you're using premium now.
No, I'm using regular.
You're using regular?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be. There's a couple things that it could be with that. We have to actually see if the knock sensors are working.
Well, now, you say it happens in the morning when you first take off?
Yeah.
All right, so you're in third gear. This is the problem.
Yeah, I
Chris
know.
will be in third gear by the corner, and it could be 10 feet away. So I'm thinking engine load is having something to do with this.
Right.
I have driven with him quite a lot, and I do know his shifting propensities. He thinks he's speed shifting, but it's in like 10 feet.
Lugs are not just nuts, Chris.
Right. So maybe that has some, and that's the thing, Chris, I got to tell you, we all have our driving habits. Some are more suspect than others, but we all have our habits. And I've taken time to analyze mine at times because I had certain problems with my cars.
When you're on those goat paths that you always take.
Yeah. And I know that even though I've been driving my Mazda since 06, and it's a 4-cylinder, and it doesn't have torque to speak of.
Right.
It wants to be up over $5,000, and I don't usually drive it there.
Zoom.
I'm used to driving the cars that like my V8s with sticks, and even my Fiat that has a lot of torque, even though it's a 4. And I'm a second gear slowdown guy. I don't like going back into. And in that car, the Mazda to go back into first is like my motorcycle. It's a really, really low gear, and it'll throw you back. It's not comfortable, so it's easier to leave it in second and roll. But on occasion, I found some problems with my own driving style where the car was giving me a little bit of hesitation, and it clogged up. It got a little bit of the throttle body got dirty because I think I was lugging it a little too much.
Yeah.
So I amended that, and it went away. So
you know what we could do? We could take the Maxidas, all right, and we could look to see if we can get knock. We'll put it on the seat. We'll put it in graph mode. We'll take it for a ride, and we'll see if anything anomalous comes up.
Okay.
That's one thing where using a professional grade scan tool would be good.
Very good.
Yeah,
okay.
As a matter of fact, we'll just have a little Maxidas swapping ceremony out in the parking lot, perhaps.
Yes.
The official ceremonial swapping of the Maxidas.
That's it.
On my way to
with
work.
all the bowing and nodding that goes with it.
Right, all the genuflecting that goes on. So just to let you know, we'll talk about this in depth on Sunday, but just to let you know, I did something that I never thought in a million years that I was going to do.
Well, we know you've bought tires off eBay before.
Yes.
So it can't be that.
That's exactly it. I did.
You did it.
I did buy tires off eBay.
So you did it again?
No, I bought tires before on eBay.
Right. So you did. So you did do it again.
No, that's not what I did for the first time.
Oh, okay.
Here's what I did for the first time, and I will get into it in depth on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
I cross-threaded a lug nut on the stud.
Oh, wow.
I have never done that.
Nice.
Yeah, never.
Cross-threading.
Yeah. So
lefty, loosey, righty, tighty. Do I have to tattoo that backwards on your forehead again? So
you may have to, but there is a story that goes along with it,
and a thread restorer tool in the future.
But that's going to happen on Sunday. We ran out of time. For Ray Guarino and, of course, for Joe D., I'm Chris Switzer. Please have a happy and safe Thanksgiving. Stay off the roads. Stay off, especially when I'm on there.
Stay on the turkey.
I'm heading to White Castle right now. That's gonna be. We'll make a White Castle stuffing this year.
Oh, no kidding.
No kidding.
Oh boy. So for Ray and Joe, I'm Chris. Always remember the classic amount of advice we always give you: don't follow us home.
There's not enough turkey.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
From a town near Oyster Bay, Long Island, comes the show devoted to the music of Long Island's own Billy Joel. This is Piano Man on 90.3 FM, WHPC, Garden City, New York.